Hello and welcome to the Future of Workplace, a series of interactions with technology leaders on what the workplace of the future should be like. I'm Anil Chopra, VP Research and Consulting, CMR, and your host for this episode. Now, there's a drastic really shift that is happening in the way we work, and technology is a key enabler of it. However, there's a lot more to technology, on how technology will change the future of work than Zoom-based video calls and WhatsApp messaging. It varies according to the nature of work. And healthcare, for instance, has shifted to telemedicine, where doctors could consult patients remotely. Similarly, many industries are exploring AR, VR technologies to completely transform how training is being imparted. Education had to completely shift to online learning in classrooms, and BFSI is now at the second stage of their digital transformation journey. So the future of work is actually being redefined with numerous technologies, which makes it essential for every industry to explore the transformation that's happening in their own workplace. Only then would they be able to devise the right IT strategy and choose the right technologies and tools in order to grow in the digital era. So these are a few things that we will discuss in today's panel, for which it's my pleasure to welcome three very special guests. Dr. Munir Majdalaway, who is the head of IT at Zayed University, United Arab Emirates. Dr. Drupad Mathur, Deputy Director IT at SP Jain School of Global Management from Dubai. And Dr. Hossam Dahab, Head of IT Office Hub at Alex Bank, Cairo. Welcome to the Future of Workplace, gentlemen. To start off with this discussion, my first question is to Dr. Munir. How has the definition of work changed in your industry? How have employees and, more importantly, the faculty's expectations evolved now?
Yeah, thank you so much, Anil, for the invitation. Actually, I am the department chair in the College of Technological Innovation at Zayed University. So I manage two programs, one undergraduate and one graduate program. I think we are living in a new era. This era is really having this umbrella of what we call a digital transformation, and it seems to be every single industry, every single company is going through this transformation. And when I talk about before to get to your answer your question, I think we need to position this era very well so we know where the technology actually stands. Because when I talk about this era of digital transformation, we just started. I mean, some people are saying we are in 10 years, some people we are in 2 years, but everybody is in agreement that every single company, every single industry is going through this transformation. And when I talk about transformation here or digital transformation, regardless of the industry, there are some elements that we need to position here. So digital transformation have three major components. The first one is really about emerging technologies. The second one is about integration. And the third one about transforming the business. And regardless with any, if you are in any industry, you need really to have a reflection on the need of your business, and that business you need to satisfy the customers that you are dealing with. In my case, my industry, my customers are students, and also you are employees. And in my case, the employees are my faculty and the staff. And that transformation required looking at your business processes and how these business processes will be reformed. And we have tons of technologies available today. I think we are the lucky ones, but also the challenges with all of these technologies is putting really a lot of emphasis on the decision makers, which one of these technologies I need really to deploy to satisfy my customers, to satisfy my employees, but at the same thing, which is very important, the competition. Because what we are witnessing really, the fast deployment of these technologies are putting a lot of, the decision making are putting a lot of emphasis on how I can deploy at the same time, how I can be competitive with my with my competitors. And also, we cannot forget about the newcomers to the industry. So there is a lot of companies are coming. In my case, there are a lot of universities. And one of the most important thing in the education here, and you are right, I mean, the pandemic in the last 2 years, because of we have been forced to go online, but now because we tested the online, we believe that the next 5 years, the education system will go through some transformation. And that honestly created a lot of issues because um, we start seeing a lot of online programs available in the market. And that means that the competition is not really your next door university that you are competing with, but also universities from overseas that they could really reach out to the students in your area. So that workforce from, for example, recruiting faculty members, I can recruit faculty members in the future from any 5 continent because I can really reach to the best who is really can deliver what these subject matter experts to the topic that I'm delivering. And also the students. The students could be coming from everywhere in the world. So that transformation, especially about the workforce and the customers, is really impacting the education system, and we can talk about that further during our discussion here.
Thank you, Dr. Munir. I think good point. I think one critical aspect you've raised is about the competition, which can now actually come from anywhere. It's not just the next door university, but now that we have got online education happening, so the competition can happen from anywhere. So that is definitely a major change that we are really seeing over here. Dr. Mathur, as a technology leader, which technologies do you really see, gaining precedence to empower how your industry and, organization operates today and in the future? And if there are any specific use cases that are being explored or being implemented?
Certainly, Mr. Chopra, the education industry ecosystem in the last 5 to 10 years has met up with enormous, impetus as far as the use of technology is concerned. And we see across the entire value chain of the education service delivery, various types of new technology form factors, different type of applications, have emerged, and they are playing a very critical role. I mean, if we look around, anything and everything ranging from the classroom management to even the remote examination software, you see some very decent applications running out there. So in terms of the major components that have come in, of course, the education institutions are trying to use concepts like video analytics to figure out the engagement level of the students in the class. And, pretty exciting use of technology lies ahead of us. So yes, a lot is happening. In terms of the use case, yes, I would like to share at the SPGN School of Global Management, we have done a little bit of an experimentation. I mean, not an experimentation now, but actually a full rollout of something which is called as ELO system, an engaged learning online classroom system, which is a highly immersive environment to conduct classes remotely. So the instructor actually is in our ELO studio, and using this ELO, engaged learning online classroom system, he or she engages with a live class. So these are not recorded lectures; these are live classrooms. The students are actually located elsewhere in the world. Going back to the point of raised by Dr. Munir, that you are going shoulder to shoulder with the other leading academic institutions nowadays, irrespective of where they are actually located, right? So we have been pretty successful in actually utilizing the ELO studio experience for our executive MBA specifically, of course, using it for global MBA as well. But yeah, that's the way to go. And, to answer your question as to, what type of technologies are gaining precedence, I mean, we can really look around and figure out, things like video analytics and remotely proctored examination software and all that. Pretty decent. Some of these software are so nice that it will tell you how many times the candidate has looked away from the screen and whether he was present or not, and things like that. It can identify the ID card of the applicant, and so you just imagine, I'm in a remote environment, because of COVID or without COVID, when you were supposed to conduct examinations where you cannot send your exam coordinators, or you don't really know how to track the applicant. There is a software which actually allows you to do that, and it's just pretty credible. So the use of technology is happening left, right, and center. And I would actually like to highlight another very important aspect, that the entire process of education service delivery across the various portions of its value chain is uh, changing, gradually. And I think we are living in a very interesting times in next 5 to 7 years. You see that those institutions who have had the so-called digital first strategy, who have acted upon a digital first strategy, would be the ones to survive. Otherwise, online learning, blended learning, and technology enabled learning is the name of the game now. So yes, to answer your question, you see across the entire education ecosystem, various technology components are emerging and changing it beyond recognition. So traditional academics need to really speed up their game for sure.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dr. Drupal. I think very valid points, and good to hear about some of these specific use cases that are, for the education segment. These are indeed exciting times, and we see how things are going to happen in the next 5 to 7 years. A lot of new developments are going to happen. So I think thanks for sharing that. Dr. Hussam, I think you also wanted to add something on to what Dr. Drupal had said. So, but while you do that, I'd like to just extend the tech discussion further. And since you are from the BFSI segment, BFSI segment has now reached the next level of digital transformation. So how does technology help on this journey, where COVID has kind of forced upon us so many changes to the work environment?
Yes, firstly, thank you for having me in such a great conversation. Actually, I'm a fintech expert, so the industry I'm very interested in is a fintech. By definition, fintech is a financial technology. So the technology we are discussing today is the cornerstone of the fintech, which is all of us actually using or consuming the financial or the digital financial services. A few months ago, actually, I initiated a term is sky limit technologies, which is the technologies could be a source of innovation and creativity, actually not only for the fintech industry, but for all industries, because the technology is the right arm of all industries like now. And the few technologies I was referring to are the artificial intelligence, the blockchain, the API platform, the cloud computing, and the Internet of Things. But today, as I'm focusing on the fintech, I'd like to shed light about the artificial intelligence as one of the main supportive technologies for innovation. You know that the digital financial services is not just to be designed and to deliver to the customer to attain a short-term objective, but also it must be in the quality and to meet the expectations of the customer, especially when we are speaking about the fintech and delivering the digital financial services. It is 24/7. So we are not depending on the human to deliver the services. We are depending actually on the technologies. Also, I'd like to give few examples of how the technology is evolving in the fintech industry. Most of us are using the banking chatbot, the credit decisions, which when it comes to someone requesting a loan, you will not wait for a long time to be approved and investigating your paperwork. No, it is coming now from the technology to support something like this. Also, the digital onboarding, which is you as a customer, you can be onboarded and you can open either bank account or a digital wallet from any digital channel, such as the mobile, the kiosks, and so on. all of these services are using the artificial intelligence to verify the KYC, and also, for example, doing what we are saying, the liveness test, like you are being asked from the machine to smile or to look at somewhere else randomly to verify the liveness of the onboarded customer. So when we are speaking about the technology, we are speaking today on the bottom line of all industries are relying on the technology actually.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Hussam, for sharing information like, on digital onboarding and AI to verify the KYC. The next question is to Dr. Munir. And, while Dr. Hussam already talked about AI, what is really the role of these emerging technologies, like AR, VR, or IoT, or big data, blockchain, in the future of work? And moving forward, which of these technologies will become crucial to the future of work in your own industry?
Yeah, I mean, just to make a comment here, which is very important in the education environment that we are, because the deployment of these technologies is becoming very, very fast. And honestly, I think the doctors will agree with me. That is putting education in disadvantaged position, because preparing our graduates to the industry, it's becoming a big challenge here. And this is why this collaboration with the industry is becoming extremely important for educators, because we need really to educate our students on these emerging technologies, because this is where the workforce is waiting for them, and it will be very difficult really to catch up with what's going on in the market, because I never seen deployment of technologies as I am seeing it in the last 5 or 10 years. Now, honestly, when we talk about these technologies, again, I want to emphasize the importance of which technologies is the best for the business, whatever that business is, education, because we cannot apply all of it everywhere. But the technology is taking us to completely different direction, because we are not talking about usage of the technology more than the technology actually will replace the humans in the future workforce. And this is the huge challenge that we are facing here. I mean, for example, as mentioned earlier, customer service. I mean, today we have the chatbots can actually replace a human. And from intelligence with AI, artificial intelligence, these robots are very intelligent, and they can actually have conversation with the customer, and they can direct the customer in different direction depending on the answer of the customer. So we are not looking for directing customer calls, but we are talking about robot that is smart enough that can actually replace a human and have that discussion with the customer. And that is very important, because now companies who are capitalizing on these chatbots, not only minimizing the manpower in their organization, but they are responding to the customer need anytime, 7/24 by 365. And the customer are feeling very comfortable, because they believe that there is somebody in the other side that they are responding to them. I mean, look also at the e-commerce. Although e-commerce started way back in the middle of 1990 by maybe a few companies, today with this virtual reality that we have, customers can actually wear the clothes that they want to buy using these virtual reality, and they try it on them and see how they are really, these are reflecting, do I look good with that dress or with that color, before they hit the button saying, I want to buy this. There is a tremendous amount of applying these technology, like a blockchain, for example. Companies they can develop like a ledger about the experience from buying the material until you produce the product. And the customers in their end, they can actually trace that ledger, where the material came from, and we, from a country initiated, which boards, I mean, these material have been going through until which manufacturing facility produce this product, until which really the company that will deliver this product to their home. So there's a lot of things that happening in the education system. I mean, the students with their transcript, we can have the blockchain associated with the transcript, and we can associate that with all the courses, when they took the courses, who taught these courses, until the students, for example, completed their CNR project or capstone. So there's a lot of applications for this. The last thing I want to mention, which is extremely important and is getting a lot of attention, which is the robotic process automation. And this technology here that is helping the organization not only to automate their business processes, but also how I can run my business in more effective and efficient way. And this RBA is getting a lot of attention in the market, and there is a lot of companies are producing a lot of technologies for companies, because if you can run it faster, more flexible, and you can really use less resources, that will put you in a very good position to compete with your other rivals or maybe other competitors in the market.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Munir. Well said. I think you've given the examples of several industries and not just education. And indeed, I think there's a lot of its deployments are happening very, very fast, as you rightly said. E-com or virtual reality in retail, and you're talking to a person or a robot, RPA. So many different areas that you talked about, which are becoming extremely critical and being embraced by so many different companies. So thank you for sharing those views. Dr. Mathur, you talked about some good examples on, in the education segment. So I'll just extend a little further on that. In terms of, the collaboration tools, which collaboration tools become important, to kind of accelerate remote learning for students, as well as teachers and professors beyond video conferencing?
Certainly. I mean, we have been using Blackboard, which has a lot of functionality to promote collaboration across various students and teams and all. But yes, there are quite a few collaboration tools that are available today. And, video conferencing is becoming an integral part of the collaboration suites, actually. So, I mean, Zoom itself, as it started today, you see on the side, there are applications, so it never had those options, right? So you see that the collaboration tools like the one that we are using, Blackboard, is having integration with these video, interaction functionalities. And at the same time, the video collaboration softwares are also becoming more and more, intensive in terms of the apps that they offer, just like Zoom. So, but actually, the trick of the trade is in using it to impart the education effectively. And I think I will not do my duty well if, as an educator, I would not bring this point that there are a lot of tools and there are a lot of applications that are available, and we are sort of spoiled with a lot of choice. But it is all about putting it in the perspective of the education service delivery and engaging the remote learner. And in fact, we have seen situations where we have conducted classrooms in a hybrid environment where part of the class was in Dubai, part of the class was in Singapore, and they were doing joint projects. We also had a couple of international students joining in as visiting students from a couple of other universities as a part of visiting programs and doing projects in a collaborative manner. So it's about the recipe that you can cook around using all these collaboration software and technology then allows you to deliver a superior experience. So the point which I want to drive home is that it is not just the technology or the tool or the application, which we have plenty of them available now, but it is what actually you do. How do you create a context? How do you create a very conducive learning environment, and at the same time ensuring that there is a very good engagement with the people who are offline, who are face-to-face and online alike. So that is important as well. And while Dr. Munir was giving a range of examples, I was just thinking of the one which we have been using. So blockchain, for example, our degrees, we are, authenticating them using blockchain already. And I think there is more to come in terms of all these technology components that, or technology concepts that were highlighted by Dr. Munir. So I think AI is already coming up bundled as a part of the education service software. Some of them have those functionality, but augmented reality and virtuality, I believe, is coming up in a big way. Not only as far as the traditional education system is concerned or the formal education system is concerned, but today, look around. I mean, training of pilots, for example, flight simulators. It's all, it's just a lot of training and development today basically utilizes augmented and virtual reality. It ensures very high engagement, very high retention, and these technologies are going to go a long way in terms of enhancing the education delivery and a superior user experience, even in the medical science. The other day I was looking at one demonstration by a university, medical university. They are not doing, before doing the live dissection on the on the body, they were actually giving demonstration using the augmented reality application, and therefore the future medical doctors were getting ready to see what actually lies ahead. So we are only limited by our own creativity, and these technologies actually have a lot to offer. And last but not the least, the good news is that in spite of all this very fast development happening across the developing and the developed countries, the proliferation is increasing in the underdeveloped nations as well. So I think in next 5 to 10 years, we will see that the accessibility will increase. You will have people coming in from, say, poorer countries also getting access to a decent, technology enabled platform, because the entry barriers are reducing, the cost of adoptions are coming down, and this technological revolution which is coming in the education sector promises to deliver a very, very good experience for the citizens of the world, I must say. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Dr. Drupad, for elaborating on that nicely in terms of not just collaboration tools, but moving beyond that, and some good examples. I didn't know that blockchain had such an interesting use to kind of give authentic degrees. So that's a very relevant point you said. And of course, it's about the perspective in education. It's not just about tools, but how do you really leverage them for the requirement. Is what really becomes important. So thank you for sharing that view. Dr. Hussam, you want to add something to that? And of course, from a BFSI segment perspective, how do you see the role of IT really evolving to cater to the future of work that we are now tending towards? You want to share your thoughts around this?
Yes. From the perspective that I'm a technical guy coming from a technical background, I think the digital transformations making the technology people are leading a lot of business lines, and they are not becoming just a supportive function, especially in the financial industry. And again, when I'm speaking about the fintech, which is my industry, actually, the technology guys are becoming leaders, not just to avail the services or to be one of the stakeholders to be discussing the services or something like this, but they are a source of innovation and a source of new business cases becoming opened for the economic and the ecosystem worldwide. So I'm expecting that the IT will be changed from a cost center to be a revenue engine. Usually we are looking at the IT like infrastructure and software we are using to facilitate our work and so on. But I think the vision will be completely changed, because the IT now is the key success factor for any industry because of efficiency, effectiveness, and so on. And also It is a key factor to deliver the services, whatever the industry we are speaking about. It is a key factor to deliver the service in the lower cost, which is the aim of any organizations. Also, I think that the work will be changed from the perspective of service delivery to a value delivery. Usually, we are looking to the service to deliver something to the customer, but now the technology is a cornerstone of how to deliver a value, how to enhance the customer experience while we are delivering any service. Again, if we are speaking about the fintech, the technology is the platform you are delivering the digital financial services. So it is not just clicking my mobile to transfer money or something like this, but also I'm using the technology now, as our colleagues, our doctors said, the blockchain, and also it is heavily used in the fintech to remove, for example, the middleman, what we are calling the middleman, which is the corresponding bank when we are doing a remittance across borders. So we are using now the blockchain to reduce the fees and the cost of the service. Another dimension, actually, I'd like to shed light about it, which is the employees are working in the digital transformations. Actually, after COVID-19, they are becomes a customer also of the technology. Usually, as a technical guys, we are doing the service or writing the software to deliver it to someone else. But now, as a technological people, we are a customer of a lot of digital services. So we can now feel the customer much better. We are thinking how the customer are perceiving our services and how they are using it. Another thing also is the quality of work itself, how we are perceiving the quality of the service while we are using it. Actually, the quality, especially in the technology, maybe it comes at the end of delivering the services for testing, for inspections or something like this. But now the technology did a mindset shift to put the quality at the beginning of designing and thinking about the services we are going to deliver to the customer.
Thank you, Dr. Hosam. I think very relevant point. I think one very prominent point I could make out is that IT is actually shifting from a cost center to a revenue engine, and ultimately, yes, in many businesses, it's bringing in around a sea of change on how actually businesses are having moving forward and become, as IT is becoming more and more important. Why not actually leverage it to actually for it to be become a revenue engine for the company. A lot of companies I've seen have actually hived off their IT arm into a revenue center where they offer IT services to other companies, not just for internal consumption, but also to external companies as well. So that is a good trend that you've highlighted on, how you really see technology really making a change. So last question, and a common question to all of you gentlemen, and then we will, conclude for the day. And you could summary, briefly give me the answer. Is so based on all the discussion that we've had today, what does the future of workplace really look like to you? So let's start with you, Dr. Munir.
Definitely, it will be completely different than what we are seeing today. I think usually people will project the future based on the past, but I believe what we will see is gonna come very, very, very quick. And this is very important point just to relate to my colleague's comment here. IT is becoming an integral part of the business. It is. I don't see any business can live without IT moving forward. Saying that most of the business now is really relying on IT from delivery point of view, service point of view, I mean, competitive point of view. And the most important thing, of course, the cost. The more you can have these robots replacing humans, the more your cost will be lower, the more you can compete, because at the end of the day, everybody want to make money. I mean, I was in Expo 2 days ago, and one of the vendor is showing, we are talking about cars and how cars actually will be driveless, and but actually people start thinking about airplanes, that me and you probably will start going to our work having our private airplanes, and that is coming. It has been demonstrated, because we need some policies, of course, we need some procedures, we need some legislations. So technology is there. It's just about how really you can employ that technology for the benefit of what you see it. So the workflow, the workforce is extremely important, but at the same time, companies need to realize that you need to upskill the knowledge of your employees, because you don't want the technology to be moving much faster than the knowledge base that you have. The minute we are getting to that level, I think we can deploy the technology anywhere we want it. And I'm not talking about a scary moment for workers. Definitely technology will create much more work for us than by replacing our work. So we can say it replacing so many jobs. The other day I was in one of the malls, and there is a small outlet, and you go there and you talk to the robot, and the robot will take your order, and they can mix the ice cream for you without any human interface. So all of these traditional work that we are relying on humans, I think they can be replaced by human being. There are some cafes now that they have no humans. You go there and you can just interact with the robots, and the robots can mix the coffee for you and service for you and bring it to your table, from taking order until delivering the product for you. E-commerce, I mentioned about e-commerce. This is extremely important. I think e-commerce now is taking a lot of this brick and mortar kind of business we are talking about. You go to Carrefour today, these smart cards, you put the product in it, you just walk it through the machine, it will calculate all of your, identify all of your products, you will have your bill, you pay, and you go home. So everything, as my colleague said, about fast, doing things fast and very flexible. So I think in education, as my colleague, Dr. Mathur mentioned, that there is a lot of automation we're going to go through in education. Synchronization or in e-synchronization education is becoming very important in the market. We can use technologies, and there are tons of them. Yesterday, I was looking for so many websites that you can actually deploy some technologies, and you can bring it to the classroom, or you can record your class with all of these technologies, and the students, by their convenience, they can access, for example, these classes, and we can have some chat with the students. So honestly, it is we cannot imagine how the workforce will be in the few years in the future.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Munir. I think well said. Yes, it's going to be very, very different, as you rightly said. And absolutely, so much of technology interplay is happening that it's going to make a huge impact on how we actually work and, how things are going to move forward. Dr. Dhrupad, what are your views upon what does the future workplace look like to you?
Certainly, I would like to resonate the message which Dr. Munir has just given in terms of technology already becoming one of the key drivers of the transformation in the education sector specifically, and similarly for the other industry verticals as well. And what I see is that in next 5 to 7 years, the challenge of technology would not be around technology per se, or the technology concept or the technology form factor per se, but the challenge would be about making it more inclusive, ensuring that Gen X and Gen Y or Gen Z, they are all on board as far as the adoption of technology is concerned, with the reducing attention spans and all. So in terms of figuring out the role of IT evolving in the evolving workspace, I think we should be looking at the use of technology in a legal and ethical manner, so that all the stakeholders are positively impacted. And I see that the governance and compliance and risk related issues, technology risk and governance related issues, are going to be of immense importance. So while on the one hand the technology itself holds a lot of promise, as my colleagues have already mentioned. At the same time, I think the senior business leaders and the technology managers need to be equally concerned about, and they should prepare themselves to handle these legal, ethical, governance, risk, and compliance issues. So yes, the nature of challenge would shift, because technology is going to proliferate, because already becoming more cheaper and more accessible, and with reduced entry barriers. But at the same time, because of this enormous nature, there are the different type of challenges that are emanating, and we have to prepare for those challenges well in time.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Drupad. I think very well summed up, and the fact that tech is not going to be the challenge moving forward. It's going to be the inclusiveness about it. How do you really make it more inclusive for different types of generations, different generations of people? So very well said. Dr. Hussam, I think over to you for the last part of the discussion. What are your views? What does the future of workplace look like to you?
For closing, I have actually to thank the technology, which is gathering us in this platform and makes the communication is very smooth and actually saving a lot of time and effort and cost. What I would like to add that the technology, it adds the flavor of digitization to it, to everything. So we have a digital culture, we have a digital environment, we have a digital of everything, which is maybe forced by the COVID-19, but I think it was the best thing resulted from this COVID issue. You know that I was helping one of my friends to hire software developers in his company, and I astonished that, or surprised that some people are putting a precondition that they will work virtually. I didn't hear about that before, but now if you want to contact me to work with you, I will work, for example, 2 or 3 days minimum remotely. So it is not just changing the quality and how we are delivering the services, but also it changes the mindset of people. People are putting the technology ahead of their thinking, their future plan, their development plans, and it makes a mandatory skills to each one, regardless where I'm working and for what. I have to be a technological person, even if I'm not a technical guy, but I have to have the minimal knowledge about the technology because it becomes a mandatory to be able to communicate with the external world.
Thank you, Dr. Hussam, for summing it up so well. I think very well said. I think if technology was not there, we would not all be, sitting from different locations and doing this. I would probably have traveled to your country, or you would have come to here, and we would have had, a discussion face to face. So as you rightly said, yes, absolutely, this is one change that technology is really going to bring us. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for sharing your views and joining me for this panel. I think it has been wonderful doing this chat with you. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your valuable time.